Mohamed Salah could face a huge decision over his Liverpool future, with Saudi Pro League side Al Ittihad determined to sign him. Wow, what about that? Hello, this is the Transfer Show. Only 8 days left in the Premier League window, and not for the first time this summer, interest from the Saudi Pro League has cast doubt over the future of one of European football's best players. Also on the way, Chelsea have announced they've signed David Washington. Will he go straight into Mauricio Pochettino's first-team plans, or is he one for the future? Another day, another striker linked to Everton. Despite a dreadful start, Sean Dyche was on good form today. We'll hear from him. And this was the scene at Tottenham training today. Yep, that is Hugo Lloris back with the first team. We'll talk Tottenham before 5:30 as well. But the news that got us all puffing our cheeks out, Mo Salah, the highest profile player, could he leave the Premier League and go to Saudi Arabia? Dharmesh.
If Al Ittihad have their way, then yes, but it's still looking like a long shot. The Saudi Pro League club, Al Ittihad, have not given up on signing the Liverpool forward, Mohamed Salah. They made attempts, of course, to sign him earlier on in this transfer window. Salah, he signed a new contract with Liverpool last summer. He's got 2 years remaining on that contract. Whenever we talk about 2 years, it's always that interesting time of a contract that's left on a player's deal, isn't it? Because you're now a year away from being out of contract. So from that position, Liverpool still hold the cards, and the final decision will always be with them, simply because Mohamed Salah is under contract. But one source has told Sky Sports News, and I must stress this one source, that Mohamed Salah would like to listen to what would be on offer from Al Ittihad. I'm not saying that he would like to go. He would just like to listen to what's on offer. And if we think about what would be on offer, it would multiply his wages by tenfold, probably. We're talking in the region of around £350,000 a day, if you believe everything that you're reading. Look, Al Ittihad already have the likes of N'Golo Kante, Karim Benzema, and the former Celtic winger Jota in their squad. However, there are strong reports emerging from Saudi indicating that Jota could leave the club just weeks after joining for £25 million, with Al Ittihad really trying to pursue a deal for Mohamed Salah. As I said, though, he's already started the season with Liverpool. Liverpool will obviously be planning for Mohamed Salah to be at Liverpool for the rest of this season, and indeed for his contract. So as far as they're concerned, they're probably thinking Mohamed Salah's a Liverpool player, is not going anywhere, but Al Ittihad will push.
Of all Premier League clubs, though, Liverpool have got cover up front. Can't imagine they'd want him to go, though.
I'm remembering us having this conversation 4 weeks ago when Jurgen Klopp said on pre-season tour, when he raised concerns about the Saudi Pro League closing after the Premier League. And he was quite open about it. And, you know, he made some fair points, and we discussed it as well, and the concerns he had. So this is really interesting. And everybody, Jurgen Klopp's press conference is tomorrow around 9:45. So stay tuned, and it'll be on Sky Sports News. Of course, Jordan Henderson has gone there. Fabinho's gone there. They do not want to lose Mohamed Salah. And his agent, Rami Abbas Issa, he's quite active on Twitter, but he did tweet August the 7th. If we considered leaving Liverpool this year, we wouldn't have renewed the contract last summer. Mohamed remains committed to LFC.
We are going to talk much more about that at 7 o'clock. What a story. Mo Salah possibly on his way to Saudi Arabia. All right, let's talk Manchester City. We've been talking midfielders all the time. Any developments?
Yes. As we said yesterday, it looks like the Wolves midfielder Matheus Nunes is the primary target for Manchester City, and they have now made their move, have Manchester City. An opening bid worth £47 million has been rejected by Wolves. Now, we understand that talks are ongoing between the clubs, but perhaps more significantly, discussions are ongoing behind the scenes at Manchester City about whether they're going to go back in for Matheus Nunes with an improved offer. Any other club, if they'd made one offer, you would be pretty confident in them going back in with an improved deal. This isn't any other club, though, because Manchester City have shown in the past that they are prepared to walk away at any time from any kind of deal. Pep Guardiola, in his news conference last week, actually pinpointed 3 particular occasions when they went in for Harry Maguire, but they weren't willing to meet the valuation, so they walked away. Manchester United signed him. They went in for Marc Cucurella from Brighton. Too much money, they thought. They walked away. Alexis Sanchez was another example. He ended up going to Manchester United. So they went for these players, but they pulled out of these deals. Let's see if there is another improved offer in the pipeline for Manchester City with regard to Matheus Nunes, because it's obvious they want to strengthen in that area with just over a week left in this transfer window. They tried to bring in Lucas Paqueta from West Ham United. That deal is not happening at the moment. The primary target looks like it is Nunes now.
Michael, Darmesh says City normally good with their money, but have they let a player go for relative peanuts today?
It's a player, it's a defender who's very highly regarded at Manchester City, and I think a couple of other Premier League clubs as well. And I think you're right what you're alluding to here, because Aymeric Laporte has completed his move. He's off to Saudi Arabia, to Al Nassr. It ends a very successful 5.5-year spell at Manchester City.
How much has he gone for?
He's gone for around £25 million.
See, that's not very much money, is it, for a top defender?
Yeah, and I think a lot of top clubs are looking for a top defender. So it's a slight surprise, but of course it's hugely lucrative for him. I'm sure Manchester City and Pep, who's watching us now behind Darmesh, will be probably glad to see him leave the Premier League. You know, they got on very well, of course, and he leaves, as a very successful Manchester City ex-player.
Darmesh, are we going to see a lot of this? Clubs getting rid of players for sums that actually look like less than we would think the player should go for?
There is that potential the later in the window you get. This is not the start of the transfer window when clubs can say, right, this is our valuation and that's it. Because if a club is patient enough and they will wait until towards the end of a transfer window, there is a chance, if a selling club is desperate to offload a certain player, that the buying club can take advantage of that and maybe just bring that price down much less than what the valuation would have been much earlier in the transfer window. Of course, it can work the opposite way as well, because if a club is desperate to buy a player and they could have got him for a reasonable price earlier in the transfer window, it can work the other way as well, and they might have to overpay the later in the window you get. It just depends on who is more desperate at that time to bring in that certain player.
Yeah, feels like we're going to be digging around in the bargain basement, which is a place I'm often found. Manchester United, we've been talking about midfield options for them. Any developments today?
Look, it is clear they want to be active in the remaining days of the window with regard to an incoming in the midfield area. Fiorentina's Sofyan Amrabat, he remains the name that just simply will not go away. And there has been a development today because he's actually been left out of the Fiorentina squad for their Europa Conference League tie against Rapid Vienna. And that is amid all of this speculation over his future, particularly with Manchester United and maybe Liverpool as well. It is thought that both Amrabat and Fiorentina are just waiting for Manchester United to make that move formal. As far as Manchester United are concerned, it's not that easy because United behind the scenes, we think, are exploring whether they can do a deal for Amrabat without having to make a formal departure and raise funds, for example, a Scott McTominay or another midfielder, or whether they've got the money from Fred, which is worth around 15 million euros, and potentially the sale or a loan with an obligation for Donny van der Beek, whether that would be enough for them to go into the market for Sofyan Amrabat. But look, as we keep saying, there's only 8 days left. So one way or another, this is going to have to come to a head very, very soon. Erik ten Hag really likes the player. Amrabat really likes Erik ten Hag. They've worked together before when Erik ten Hag was in charge at Utrecht, and he was a player at Utrecht. So I don't think we've heard the last of this in this transfer window, particularly with this latest development concerning the fact that he's not going to be part of that squad tonight.
So that's interesting because Amrabat's not in the Fiorentina squad. One player who is in the squad for Fiorentina is Nico Gonzalez. And yesterday we reported that Brentford had made a £34 million bid for him. But the Fiorentina head coach Vincenzo Italiano said to Sky Italy last night he is super motivated and will definitely stay. So when we get the actual team news, it'll be interesting. But he is in the squad and looks to be staying at Fiorentina.
On that note, Kylian Mbappe, what's going on with him?
I mean, it's quite a turnaround, isn't it? It's a real twist, and it looks like it's good news for PSG because he's now in contract talks. He was discarded. There was a discarded squad at PSG, but now he's back in that squad. I think PSG know that his dream ultimately is to go to PSG. But what's unthinkable, absolutely unthinkable, is for him to go there on a free. They want to get some kind of fee. So they're in contract negotiations now. Now, what's even more interesting today is Carlo Ancelotti's held a press conference and he has said that Real Madrid are doing no more transfer business. Forget them until September the 1st. No more business. We know he wants to go there, but this is a real boost for PSG because they just, as I say, they just do not want to get for him to go on a free. And look, let's remind people, he did turn down Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, he did. You couldn't make that story up, though. No. Chelsea, you can make this up. They're at it again. Signed a player. Another one.
As we expected, they have completed the signing of the Brazilian forward David Washington from the Brazilian club Santos. He completed his medical yesterday. The deal is worth in the region of 20 million euros, including performance-related add-ons. And it won't come as a surprise to you that he signed a 7-year contract with Chelsea, with the option to extend for a further 12 months, because why wouldn't you want to extend for a further 12 months if you've just signed a 7-year contract? Chelsea will make a decision, though, still, we think, about whether Washington, who's only 18 years old, whether his development is going to be best served staying with Chelsea and the first-team squad for the rest of this season, or maybe going on loan and maybe more regular first-team football elsewhere, with Strasbourg, Chelsea's almost sister club, possible destination for him. Just one other line to bring you with Chelsea, to do with the goalkeeper, Jordi Petrovic. He's expected to have a medical with Chelsea in the next 24 to 48 hours ahead of his move from New England Revolution. Personal terms not expected to be a problem. We expect that one to be another long-term deal as well. And the deal is worth in the region of £14 million, including performance-related add-ons.
Yesterday, you told me Everton were looking at Shea Adams. Today, you're going to tell me they're looking at someone else.
Yeah, something we brought to you earlier this morning. They're in discussions with Udinese to sign striker Beto. He's a 25-year-old Portuguese international. He scored 21 times in 61 matches. Discussions have taken place, but a deal isn't expected to be completed this week. Of course, we know it's been a tough start for Everton and Sean Dyche. He wants to get new bodies in, and this is what he said earlier in his pre-match press conference.
I mean, naming individuals, but there's one obvious reason. I think you know what it is. You know, it's not. They don't come cheap. You know, they don't just walk in here for nothing.
Are you able to give any indications to whether Beto Udinese is now a target?
There's loads of people we've been linked with. When I took the job, it was made clear to me it's going to be a challenge. It was made clear to me the parameters, the guidelines, and the realities, and what we're going to have to do, and we're doing that. The deals we're trying to do are the ones that we can do. That was a deal we could do.
So would you not prefer to get Che Adams done early?
I was trying for Harry Kane. That one didn't work out.
Yeah, he is in good spirits, isn't he?
Yes, I think it's classic Sean Dyche. We've seen it from Burnley. You know, he's always very engaging in press conferences, but he'll be serious in his head when he knows that they do need to bring more quality in. We mentioned Che Adams yesterday. The message from someone I spoke to at Southampton is that they want to keep him. They want to get promotion back to the Premier League. It's so important for clubs like Southampton. So we'll see where we go with that. Of course, Everton look to be moving on there, which should be hopefully encouraging for Everton supporters. But Dyche there, you can see, deep down, I know he's a bit tongue-in-cheek there. He wants to get some quality in.
I bet he does. Let's go to a break. Let's just remind everybody, 8 days left of the window. That's the Premier League window, because Saudi Arabia, theirs goes on longer. How important will that be? Mo Salah, are you watching? We've got loads coming up after the break. We're going to talk Tottenham, amongst many others. See you in a moment.
£5 million in performance-related add-ons. The discussions are ongoing over the actual payment terms. Now, there is work to do, but there is a cautious optimism that a deal can be struck over the weekend. Personal terms not expected to be a problem on a 5-year deal. That 5-year deal comes with the option of a further 12 months. There has been a late twist, though, because, number one, another Premier League club came in late, but we understand that Kudus' choice is to go to West Ham United. But also there has been Saudi interest as well. And there's another source who's telling Sky Sports News that the deal is now 50-50. So depending on which sources we're hearing from, one says it's close, one says it's kind of like 50-50 now. So it'll be interesting to see how this one transpires. As far as Kudus himself is concerned, he is currently with the Ajax squad in Bulgaria for tonight's Europa League playoff first leg against Ludogorets. We don't expect him to play, but I think that match kicks off maybe at 7 o'clock tonight. So hopefully in the next half an hour, 45 minutes, we will have the team news for that game. And that will give us some sort of idea, potentially, of Kudus' future.
Yeah, won't it? What about Youssef En-Nesyri? What's going on with him?
Yeah, West Ham still hopeful that they can sign him. They remain in talks with Sevilla over the signing of En-Nesyri, the Morocco international, played at the World Cup in Qatar, of course. West Ham, rather like the Kudus deal, getting encouragement that the player is open to the move, but they will move on to other targets if they feel that this deal cannot be done. And this is far from done, this deal. He's into the final 2 years of his contract at Sevilla, which is that danger point, again, as I mentioned before, when it comes to clubs, when it comes to dealing with transfers, because if he's still here at the end of this transfer window, he's 15 months away from being able to sign a pre-contract agreement with a club outside Spain.
Yeah, they're dangerous. All right, lots of talk about Brennan Johnson in this window, and as we've been saying, Nottingham Forest will not consider allowing him to go unless there's a bid of at least 50 million. Here's Steve Cooper. He spoke today.
I'm not sure. I mean, I don't deal with that. I just deal, obviously, with Brennan day to day, and we're talking a lot at the moment, but they're normal conversations about performance and development and everything else that goes around him being at his best or aiming to be at his best, and that's our plan. That's what we do, you know. And if we get told at some stage things change, not just him, with any of the players, then we'll deal with it then. But I can imagine there is speculation around Brennan. I don't sort of pay attention myself to it, but you know, he's a really talented young player. That the exciting bit is that he's got, you know, a lot more to come as well. So, but you know, we love working with him as a player. We love him as a boy, and like I said, day to day, we're really continuing to enjoy working with him and everybody else.
They want to keep him. Is he someone that Tottenham have looked at?
He's a player Tottenham like, but I wouldn't say he's a massive priority at the moment. And I'm sorry to keep banging on about this, but the absolute priority for Tottenham Hotspur Football Club at the moment is outgoings, because the squad is way too big. Of course, what do we always have after transfer deadline days? We have 25-man squad announcements. That will come soon. Spurs have too many players. They need to sell some players. There's big names on big wages. So that's still the priority as it stands.
I want to talk goalkeepers. Hugo Lloris, we said he's on the exit door. Was out training in the first team today. Yeah. What's going on?
Well, it was interesting today. You know, shots we had today of him training with the first team. We know he was looking to leave. He hasn't joined Lazio. He didn't want to join Lazio. It'd be interesting to hear from Ange Postecoglou tomorrow in terms of his future, because he won't want to be the number 2 at Tottenham Hotspur. Guillermo Vicario is now the Tottenham Hotspur's number 1. However, for me, wouldn't be leaving on bad terms. He has had good chats with Ange Postecoglou. So until I'm told otherwise, he's training with the club because he's got a good relationship with the club. OK, you've got a goalkeeper line for us.
Just picking up on what Michael's saying about goalkeepers, let's keep with the theme. Manchester United deciding, we think, between 2 goalkeepers if Dean Henderson leaves the club. They're ready to do deals, we think, with one of Fenerbahce's Altay Bayindir, which we reported yesterday, and the other one we've been reporting on, Benfica's Odysseus Vlachodimos. Personal terms not expected to be a problem with either. Crystal Palace, we think, remain in talks with Manchester United over a deal for Henderson, but there has been a development. This could affect what Manchester United do, because Fenerbahce have just tweeted that Dominik Livakovic, the Croatian goalkeeper, has arrived in Istanbul to pass the health checks and complete the transfer negotiations. It's So if he was to come in, does that mean Bayinde is on his way out? And is that the one that Manchester United will focus on?
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that. Michael was telling us that Hugo Lloris was at training for Tottenham. Kieran Tierney not at training for Arsenal this morning. Now, Celtic boss Brendan Rodgers, who managed Tierney at Celtic, has told him to get regular game time.
Well, I think for himself, Kieran will want to play. You know, he's not a young player anymore. He's a player that will want to play football, no doubt. You know, especially where he was with Arsenal for his first couple of years, and at times captain in the club. So obviously they got a really strong squad. Mikel's done a fantastic job there, but for Kieran himself, I'm sure he'll be looking to go out and play. But yeah, that's the way I would see it.
Interesting. Let's stay with Arsenal.
Just
Go on.
Before I talk about that, just on Kieran Tierney, I'm told that negotiations are ongoing with Real Sociedad and Arsenal over a potential loan move. So are we to read more into him just missing training? Is it possible that he could be on his way out, Kieran Tierney? But we are told that negotiations are ongoing with Real Sociedad over a loan move for Kieran Tierney.
That's interesting. Sorry, very quickly, we mentioned that they were interested in Reguilon from Tottenham Hotspur last week, a fellow left-back, so really interesting. Thank you.
Definitely. I was going to say 30 seconds, you've now got 20 for Folarin Balogun.
Monaco close to a verbal agreement on a fee for Folarin Balogun, the Arsenal striker. They are then expected to make a formal offer ahead of discussing the structure of the deal and the payment terms. Personal terms not expected to be a problem. Balogun is open to the move. He loves Ligue 1. He was there last season on loan with Reims. 21 goals, 34 starts. Could be a goer.
We've got to go, which is a real shame because there's so much going on today. When we come back at 7, we're going to talk Aleksandar Mitrovic and Mohamed Salah. He is wanted in Saudi Arabia. We will keep a very close eye on that and discuss it at 7. I'm back after the break with Sky Sports News. I'll see you.